I'm Julia Coakley, Head of Operations, and on behalf of the MGAA, I'd like to welcome you to our webinar this afternoon, which is being delivered by Searchlight. Before I introduce our presenters, I'd just like to ask you to ensure that your microphone and camera remains off. If you do have a question, please feel free either at the end of the presentation or during the presentation to ask using the chat box at the bottom of your screen. This video will be available on our MGAA website and will be uploaded to the MGAA YouTube channel, and the slide deck will be sent out to you post-event. We always ask for a survey to be issued and completed by our delegates just to let us know what you think about these webinars. This webinar in particular is more important for us to gain your feedback for the most important reason that this is a real partnership that we are developing with Searchlight. We're at the start of the journey of developing the training, learning and development plan, and your input can really shape that plan going forward. So that will be one of the questions within the Survey Monkey survey that you'll be sent. So again, just take the opportunity to participate, give us your thoughts, let us know what you want. If you think it may be specific to your business, the chances are you're an MGA, so therefore it will be very necessary for other MGAs as well to have a similar sort of learning. So be selfish, ask for what you want, and we will aim to facilitate. So following on from the MGA member research that was conducted in the summer of 2021, it was determined from the respondents' feedback that a high proportion of those respondents do look to the MGAA to support learning and development. So along with MGAA webinars, our technical forums, our MGA Assess platform, it was evident that additional training would be welcomed, and even if it was chargeable, that would also be that'd be perfectly acceptable too. But the main point being that it would be targeted training for MGAs. I subsequently undertook an exercise to explore the market to see what possible partnerships we could look to consider with other learning and development companies. The main point really was to make sure that the experience of the training partner that we selected didn't see the industry and the insurance sector as a whole, but was really alive to the needs of an MGA and the particular nature of the way an MGA operates, as opposed to an insurer or a broker. Searchlight were very impressive from the start. They looked keen to develop both a training program bespoke to the needs of our members, and ongoing support for learning and development as well, but other things like newsletter, again, bespoke to a business, and other areas that we've been looking for to try and capture all of the key elements that you'd want in a training and learning development partner. So Searchlight stood out not only as experienced in the market, but more particularly, as I said, held an understanding of the MGA model. They had great feedback, they enjoy good market reputation, and are part of the wider UK GI group. Therefore, that holds potential for a wider pool of resource, so our partnership was formed. So today's webinar, Shaping the Future for a Professional Workforce, is being delivered by Tracy Sutton, Group Business Development Executive, Andy Payne, Commercial Manager, Tom Wood, Business Development Manager, all from UK GI, and we also have joining us David Hole, who is Claims Manager from Plum Underwriting. So Tracy is an experienced and proven business development executive with an established career in the insurance profession, spanning underwriting, broking and risk management, progressing into client and supply relationship management, and a skilled influencer in business growth and project fulfillment. Andy leads on the Searchlight Insurance training propositions with many years' experience in the insurance sector, specialising in client relationship management and commercial development. A natural communicator, he's adept at building relationships with clients and sourcing best fit solutions to help meet objectives. Tom is an innovative and inspiring business manager working with the UK GI Group companies for over 15 years. He is highly experienced in product proposition and design and sales and service delivery. Tom maintains the Searchlight key client and partner relationships. And last but by no means least, David has enjoyed wide exposure in the London insurance market and elsewhere, resulting from his industry-specific training. Delivering technical insurance training over the past 20 years, David meets client training and competence needs by provision of interactive and enjoyable training events. David is also a part-time complaints manager for Plum Underwriting and is a CII subject matter expert for the CII, helping write and update various technical modules on Assess. So, Andy, if I might hand over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julia. If we could move, thank you. That's great. So, thank you, Julia, and good afternoon, everyone. Searchlight are delighted to be partnering with the MGAA to facilitate and provide training to you, their community and members. Searchlight is a market-leading provider of technical, regulatory, product and business skills training to the insurance profession. For over 20 years, we've built our reputation on excellence in everything that we do, and we've trained thousands of professionals across the whole sector. We have a bank of over 50 training associates who deliver our training through a variety of modern training methods, such as face-to-face in the classroom, virtual workshops, online via a suite of blended learning solutions that can also encompass e-learning. My colleague Tracy will cover off the offering later on in the slides. Next slide, please, Julia. As Julia mentioned, Searchlight is part of the wider UKGI group, a specialist provider of compliance support and education services in the insurance industry. This slide shows you where Searchlight sits within our group of businesses, and as you can see, as a group, we're ideally placed with all elements of consultancy for your business to include compliance support, education, and guidance in your workplace. The other businesses within the group are names that you should recognise, including UKGI, RWA, ICS, and CMS, as well as our specialist HR consultancy, IHRS. Insurance HR solutions specialise in employment law and human resources for FCA-regulated firms. On this slide, we've particularly highlighted ICS and CMS as they are the compliance partners of the MGAA, and we'll be working closely with them to deliver compliance and regulatory training to you, the members. We couple this knowledge and expertise within these companies with a network of experienced trainers such as David and subject matter experts who provide our clients with training in the technical, business skills and leadership and management areas of professional development. Now, when we designed this presentation, as Julia mentioned, we hit on the title, Shaping the Future for a Professional Workforce. Now, this late in the day, there's one word in this title that I'd probably swap out that would give an entirely different meaning and gravitas to this relationship. I believe that what we're trying to achieve here is shaping the future for your professional workforce. In short, we're here for you on behalf of the MGAA. We would like you to see us as an extension to your business, one where you can lean on us for support and guidance and utilise our skills as you would do any other internal department or business partner. We would encourage MGAA members to reach out to us to discuss your training needs at any time. We're here to help you. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Tom, who's going to guide you through why this offering will add more value to your relationship with the MGAA and the MGA community as a whole. Over to you, Tom.
Thanks, Andy. Next slide, please, Julia. Lovely. So I think it's important that we understand why the MGAA and Searchlight are doing this for members. And I think the keystone to this proposition is a shared vision that raising professional standards is critical to the future of the insurance sector. The FCA wants to see regulated firms reducing the chance of customer harm, and having a trained and competent workforce at all levels is essential to this. Also, I think we need to attract and retain new talent by offering continuous personal and professional development opportunities. Next slide, please. So this then leads on to what our customers now expect from their insurance providers. They want to make sure they have the right cover, the right advice, the right price, the right customer journey, from buying insurance cover through to claims and settlement. And this is why it's so important that those working in the insurance sector are well trained in a wide variety of areas, including the typical core training areas of subjects such as technical knowledge, customer service, insurance regulation, and managing complaints, as well as some of the wider areas such as diversity and inclusion, leadership, and the true understanding of what fair value means within insurance. Next slide, please. So why should an MGA care about being competent? There's a variety of reasons listed here on this slide, but ultimately, if your staff are trained properly and make less mistakes, then the customer should obtain and have confidence in the service that they receive. This will reduce the risk right along the distribution chain so that everyone benefits, and you'll gain greater confidence from your capacity providers. A well-trained workforce is a positive thing to promote to all of your stakeholders. If you can attract, reward and retain a competent workforce that is diverse, that understands risks, and that takes ownership of their own professional development, then your business will grow with them. The insurance world is modernising and going through a lot of change. It's important that we become more sustainable, and that includes how an inclusive work culture provides the opportunities for all of our people to develop and progress. The pandemic caused a lot of public distrust in the insurance sector, and we can help repair that by increasing our professional standards and showing customers the value of our expertise and knowledge to support their risk management. And a final point to consider from me, if you don't invest in staff training, then what does that say about your business? The FCA does look at this. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Tracy, who will talk more about the partnership and the benefits to members.
Next slide, please, Julia. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tracy Sutton. Thanks, Tom, for the introduction. I'm Group Business Development Executive and, most importantly, the Lead Relationship Manager supporting the MGAA and the Searchlight Partnership. I'm really looking forward to taking forward this uniform partnership and, as Andy Payne introduced, helping you to shape the future of your professional workforce. By way of introduction, my career history lies entirely within the insurance sector, from underwriting through to risk management and lastly business development. And I thought it was important to mention that I have worked within the MGA sector, and therefore I have an understanding and appreciation of the MGA space and its operational nuances. My focus and that of Searchlight and our team will be the delivery of professional training solutions which reflects the individuality of the MGA landscape and its significant growth within the insurance market sector, and to underpin continued professional development, success and operational excellence. The Searchlight MGAA partnership is a perceivable and seamless extension to the MGA commitment to the delivery of added value to its membership. We will also be aligning our proposition with the territories in which the MGAA operates, that being the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. Our partnership has been founded upon three cornerstones: expertise, knowledge and relevance. Searchlight have the ability to deliver and design professional training solutions to the evolving MGAA landscape comprising of its members, product providers and suppliers, and we're looking forward to supporting each and every one of you. I thought it would be useful to summarise the perceivable benefits to MGAA members provided by the Searchlight Partnership. And Julia, if I could ask you to move on to the next slide, please. Andy and Tom have outlined the concepts of professional standard elevation and competency, but I thought it would be good to understand the mechanics and the how. So, the Searchlight MGAA Partnership will give breadth and depth to the entire concept of professional training solutions, from the diversity of subject matter to the flexibility of delivery and even the extent of territorial operation, including the Republic of Ireland. Searchlight will publish our proposed calendar of training events for the forthcoming MGAA conference. I would stress that this is our proposed calendar, but there is scope for change, and we encourage MGAA members to feedback to us with any preferences, individual needs or considerations, and I'll also be more than happy to speak to you on a one-to-one basis as your facilitator. We will be launching a bespoke website page. We will also be available in advance of the MGA conference for you to have a look at and consider any sort of training desires that you can align with us in our proposition. A monthly newsletter is proposed, and that will highlight topical matters, relevant developments, and the content will be produced from within Searchlight and also our partner complementary compliance providers, as Andy outlined at the start of the presentation. Most importantly, to raise as part of this slide is a exclusive pricing structure which we've designed to support MGAA members. So I'd like to close by highlighting the MGAA and Searchlight membership partner benefits, those being bespoke training, professional solutions, a dedicated resource for the benefit and growth of MGAA members. We have an open and flexible approach from an established training provider, preferential rating, and a monthly newsletter. So please come and meet us at the MGAA conference. We'd love to meet with you and hear your thoughts and understand how Searchlight can support and assist you. I'd like to now hand over to David Hole, one of Searchlight's talented training associates.
Thank you very much, Tracy, and good afternoon to you all. Well, as you can probably see on the slide, I am a trainer for Searchlight of some 20 years vintage, and during the last 13 years, I've been working part-time for a Lloyd's and Companies Market cover holder. And certainly when I first joined them, as with many MGAs, the headcount was relatively low, and it means you gain a lot of exposure to a number of different activities and disciplines within the business. And I am aware of the more specialist, non-standard nature of underwriting undertaken by association members, as well as a rather more forensic approach is often needed. Recognising that Searchlight dealing with firms and delegates who are dealing with more unusual risks and who operate within their specific market niche, this actually gives trainers like myself the opportunity to devise and deliver more bespoke training, really addressing specific needs of client firms. To reinforce Tom and Tracy's points as well, this can play a significant part in upskilling staff to improve service offerings. One obviously big benefit as well is that it could make the MGA a more attractive proposition for capacity providers in consequence as well. The regulatory benefits are therefore to see from a conduct risk and a T&C perspective, as well as possibly if you're looking to obtain or maintain charter status as well. Whilst some of you may be familiar with various computer-based training platforms and use them extensively, I think one of the key benefits of a blended approach by incorporating group training as well is probably exposure to others in similar roles, and the discussion that's generated between those delegates and the various anecdotes which crop up, which bring these sort of sessions to life. Anyway, enough from me. Let me hand you back to Andy, who will conclude our presentation today.
Thank you, David. Thank you to Tom and Tracy and David there. That's really interesting, and I hope you guys feel that this is a benefit. Well, that's very much it from us. You can see our contact details are on screen here. I'm certain that Julia will gladly share them and this presentation with you at the end. Julia, if we could move to the final slide, please. As you can see, this is very much a partnership designed for your benefit, and it's one that you'll get the most from if you're able to invest a little time in Searchlight and our wider group understanding your business and what's important to you. This way, with the MGAA and our compliance and training partners, we can help you shape the future of your professional workforce. As Tracy alluded to, please come and find us on stand 92 in the education zone at the conference on the 29th of June. And if you'd like to pick up any further discussion surrounding anything that we've chatted about today, please feel free to contact us. Julia, back over to you.
Thanks very much, Andy. I appreciate that. Well, thank you. It's a brief but insightful presentation, and I think I'd like to think that it got across our aims in terms of why I chose Searchlight to work with for this partnership. Again, I'm going to kind of underline the fact that Searchlight have really demonstrated to me that they have an understanding of MGA needs. Whilst the insurance sector is vast and, you know, there's a lot of generalities, there are also, as our delegates know, some quite specific areas that MGAs work in, and they'll have quite specific needs and obviously trade in a specific way. So it's incredibly important to us to have Searchlight understand, and to use Tracy's word, the nuances of working at an MGA rather than insurer and a broker. I have got a few questions, if I might put these to you. I'll let you fight over who answers them, if I may. So I've got a question regarding the Searchlight training program and your plans to perhaps open it up to non-members?
Tracy, did you want to cover that?
Yes, so obviously it's a perceivable benefit for MGAA members. We're offering a discounted rate, but we do recognise that one of the perceivable benefits to non-members would be the seamless extension that Searchlight offered to the MGAA and for future members. So whilst we are providing a discounted rate, we would also welcome joining Searchlight and the MGA and our training facilities with the prospect to joining the MGA for non-members.
Thanks, Tracy. So just to highlight there, the discount is for MGA members. So there'll be a fixed rate per course, but the discount is applicable to members of the association. That's really helpful. Thank you. I have another question with regard to just generally speaking. I mean, you've set out, a number of the services that you'll provide within this partnership, but in terms of a company, and a lot of our MGA members, which is often their struggle, they don't have vast teams of compliance people, HR people, learning and development. They don't have that. There's quite often, small teams that wear a number of different hats. However, are you able to work with our members to look at training gaps, to identify where the needs are of their staff?
Absolutely. In fact, that's the nirvana position, if I'm honest, Julia, is to understand the members, understand the pains and the pinch points so that we can get under the skin and really develop a training and competency framework and plan to deliver the training that is pertinent to those individuals and roles within each of those businesses. It's crucially important that we don't, I suppose, tar everybody with the same brush and paint a picture of this training is applicable to everybody, because it's certainly not the case. Everybody has different roles, different niche products, different bits and pieces that make their MGA very different from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Of course, there'll be some commonalities, some core competencies that will be covered off, but the very nature of this is for us, including our partners within the group, to particularly within ICS and CMS, to understand what it is that each one of those individual MGAs need, thereby taking the offering to the MGAA members to the next level, because it is more pertinent and more relevant. Is there anything, Tom, that you'd add to that?
Yeah, I think it's important to say that we do have that breadth and strength in the whole team of helping firms. It might be, for example, looking at things like a training competency plan. We can help build those, just, not necessarily through training, but we can do it through consultancy as well. I think what's important is what David said earlier is if you start getting different MGAs in a room talking together, they share those concepts, they share things, you learn things. And then, of course, you couple that with the online learning that you provide or that firms may have already. And you can start looking at where are the gaps. We can identify what people know, but more importantly, what don't they know? Those are the bits that we need to fill those gaps and raise those standards over time.
I think, can I just sort of close all of that together? So, Julia, I take us back to our initial or pre-engagement with the MGAA. We talked about what we know about the MGA landscape, the fact that some of us have worked within it, and I like that word, nuances. But actually, if I make that akin to how an MGA would consider an individual risk or a piece of business, we want to have a dialogue. Knowledge is power. We encourage you to be open with us. We're here to help. It is a partnership with the MGAA. So the more that we can understand exactly how your business operates and what you're looking to achieve, let us take away the hard work of putting something together for you, which, as we've said, we can deliver bespoke solutions. So that's why I say, come and chat to us, contact us, because we will benefit from understanding you and your needs to enable us to design a solution for you.
Great, thank you for that. And you mentioned before about the training program, because I think it's also important that I have had one of our members quote to me, which is perfectly understandable. We need you to tell us what we need to know. So in terms of perhaps newsworthy items, that's the easy bit. But you've mentioned about the training package or a training program events, I should say. So effectively what you're developing is some core training based on your understanding of the MGA market to complement that with those, if you like, specifically requested courses that you can hold in group scenarios.
That's right. We will have a programme as we introduce, Searchlight works across not only, technical sectors with the likes of, associates such as David Hull, but we can work on, shall we say, more of, some of the softer skills elements, business communication elements. So, we're here as an extended resource of the MGAA. So that's why we're saying we will publish a programme with our knowledge of, shall we say, the operating sector, the landscape, even the territories, because we've mentioned Republic of Ireland, but actually we welcome input as well. So please don't think, it's designed in stone or set in stone. We want to encourage input, because more input, the more individual members can get out of it. But we have thought along the lines of the broader spectrum. Andy and Tom have talked about why and professionalism and competency. And it's our desire to encompass all those elements within that programme, but that doesn't mean that is finite. We can look at extending that programme or even working with MGAA members, providers on a very specialised basis.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I think the way I look at it is the programme of courses would very simply be our sort of standard, this is what we're going to be plugging in for the MGAA members. Now, as useful as that is, those programme of courses are us taking a view on those core competencies that you may require as a firm and as a business, but they're not exclusive in any way, shape, or form. And that's when you mentioned earlier, Julia, about the key being us being the conduit between all three of these businesses, or the groups of businesses coming together to try and ascertain what it is that's important, what really gets these businesses going. It's vital for us to understand that so that we can either A, grow that calendar of events to make it more pertinent to those individual businesses, or B, to develop a more collaborative and consultative approach within our group of businesses so that we're honing in on those bespoke needs and wants. So yeah, the calendar is going to be there, but it's by no means exhaustive, and there's a lot more to come and a lot more to offer.
Thank you for that, Andy. You mentioned there about the Republic of Ireland offering. Those who do operate in that territory, who write business in that territory, will know that the CBI have very stringent requirements. I think in some ways you don't often say that you're lucky to be in the UK insurance sector, but in terms of the, as I say, the stringency, there are very strict rules imposed by the CBI on continuous professional development accreditation. So can you share a little bit about your thoughts on what may be possible and what you're planning to do with the Republic of Ireland offering?
Yeah, so we've been working with trainers over in Ireland as well who understand that market and have good relationships with the Insurance Institute. So that part of it shouldn't really be a problem at all. And actually, we're really keen now to look at how we can build that kind of community cross-border as well, because I think it'd be great to put on some sort of training which would actually benefit both sides of borders, where we can actually look at, trading in London and the UK, but also on the other side as well. Because I think then by doing that, it educates both sides as the differences and the nuances of what changes and happening there, but also it helps them build those relationships as well, which they may not have at the moment, if that makes sense.
Yes, perfect. Thank you for that. And then you talked about the delivery of the events of these training programs. What sort of vehicles, if I can use that word, would you use to deliver? You have a mixture of offerings?
We do, yeah. And I'll bow to better knowledge here, and David can butt in and interject at any time. But I believe that gone are the days are when you would rock up to a hotel off the M1 for a 6-hour training course and then go out of there feeling like your head's about to explode. But we albeit we can still offer those things. This is the bread and butter that people like David would have developed their career on. Times have changed. The pandemic's hit. people want learning now. They want knowledge now. So we do have the traditional training vehicles face-to-face, where we can get a group of MGAs in a room with a topic that people want to hear about, and we can do some more concentrated training that way. We can split things up into hour-long sessions, 45-minute sessions, 3-hour sessions, half days, a day. We've got the ability to do pre-recorded sessions so that we can distribute it, and very much like you're doing with this event here, to your network of members. And we can even look towards doing things like podcasts, where we can have more panel debates and invite some of the members on to take part in the training, be involved in everything that we want to try and achieve as a community. David, would you say I've pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly say that sort of, obviously for obvious reasons, necessity being the mother of invention, isn't it? The need to deliver training remotely does overcome a whole host of potential logistical problems. When you are, I think, Julie, you mentioned as well, sort of sometimes the resources in an MGA might be such that you haven't got that internal resource to deliver training, but also as well, it can be difficult to send a delegate, it could be 100 miles or more to attend a face-to-face training session. And of course, virtual training overcomes that. That said, there are pros and cons as well. It's, I think, probably training in that room, even if it is off the M1, Andy, it does have certain benefits, doesn't it? I think you get to know your delegates, and it's nice to see, I see returning delegates quite frequently. You get to know them well, so you can adjust and adapt your training accordingly, thinking on your feet, really. But as I say, it's all about a blend, isn't it? I particularly like the concept of podcasts as well, where you can dip in and out as time allows you to. We're all busy at work, and so having that versatility and that flexibility is very, very useful as well. So
thank you for that. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts. I've been using them for years, and it's interesting. When I was conducting the research looking for an appropriate training partner, I was also looking at podcasts and what kind of podcasts there are, if you like, within our sector that are easily accessible, and there's so few. And may I say, perhaps it's not the most riveting of topics that you might just decide to listen to while you're doing your gardening on a Sunday morning. However, I have actually listened to a couple of podcasts, some of which I've uploaded to our MGASS platform, and it's the convenience of learning with a podcast that I think, we're all on certainly in terms of myself and might I say our Searchlight partners are, I like the word they used, David, vintage. Maybe we're not all vintage, but I quite like, we're mature. But, podcasts, we do have to think about the younger generation coming into businesses, and, everything is, as you said, Andy, people want things done, and sorry, David, you said as well, it's the speed of things these days. Everything is so accessible and so easy to get hold of that, anything that's now not quick, we only need to, have a slight glitch with our emails for momentarily, and we're all tearing our hair out. So I think the idea of podcasts and that, being able to pop your earphones in and, listen to something whenever, wherever you want, I think is an absolute, route to take. And perhaps that should be a question that we'll ask our members, if not on this feedback survey, but subsequent, to see, what the interest is. And I think we'd have to ask our vintage MGA members to look to their younger MGA staff to, see what the interest is in podcast learning. So that's something perhaps we can come back to at a later date. I think we're still okay for time if everybody else is. I just wanted to revert back, and do forgive me, I don't know whether we answered this at all or closely enough, but in terms of members who have greater training needs, who perhaps have a number of staff who have some training requirements, can you share how you would perhaps look at that in terms of analysing their training needs and conducting an analysis on that and working with our members kind of bespoke and independently?
Do you want me to take that to start with, Andy and Tom? So I think we specialise throughout our business in looking at things like gap analysis. And one of the things that I wanted to link into, so forgive me if we've said this already, but we look at, it's a partnership with obviously Searchlight in the MGAA, and we have our programme of training events, but actually we're here for the members' benefits as well, purely from a training perspective. Individual members may have their concerns about how they can link training into a more formalised learning and development plan. Andy talked about shaping the future of your business from a professional perspective. So again, we can work in that way as well. So don't just see us as a silo. We want to for you to benefit from the optimisation of training, and how does that actually fit into your business. So yeah, please approach us and leave us to ask the questions. You know, as I said before, as an MGA would of a broker's piece of business, then we can do that in the same way for an MGAA members training needs. So very much we will consider, we will understand, we will fact find, and then we will link it into other areas of your particular business's operation.
I think even with the fixed courses that we run, we always send out pre-course questionnaires. So we'll ask questions about, you know, what is the level of knowledge that the people who are sending on the course have? What questions do you have? Because we adapt every course. So it's not off the shelf per se, but we actually do adapt them and change them to what the need is. But I think, you know, if you've got larger firms who do have to put several staff through these programs, then of course we'll sit down, we'll work with them and show them how to do that. But also things like, you know, the CPD newsletter that we send out, it will give articles and educational pieces about how you might think about these things as well. And that's the whole point about this educational piece is we're not here just to tell you what to do all the time. We actually want to educate you. We want to hand over to you and almost train you how to do it properly yourselves.
And the final piece I would say, I think Tom alluded to it there, is the only initial investment on behalf of the members of the MGAA is time. Yeah. It's just affording us that little snippet of time for us to be able to fully understand where you are now, where you would like to be, how can we help you get there, what are your plans for recruitment in the future, what does your succession plan look like, how can we help you develop as a business to get to where you need to be in that ever-changing compliance and regulatory landscape, and with all the other HR issues that surround that. This is why we're ideally placed, and probably is the key to the tri-party relationship between Searchlight / UKGI Group, the MGAA and the members. That tri-party relationship is key. It's communication, and it's a little bit of time in the first instance. We won't worry about whether it's consultancy or training or anything else until afterwards. Let us try and help your business.
That's great. And also this was touched upon earlier, and I had a conversation with the CII a number of months ago now actually regarding the Chartered Insurance Underwriting Agent title that was actually developed by the CII and the MGAA you know, together to create this accreditation for chartered status specifically for MGAs. And one of the things that was pointed out to me, which I hadn't actually thought about, was, you know, I don't think I've ever seen so many job advertisements on LinkedIn as ever before. I think people are moving more frequently at the moment. You know, everybody's perhaps has a number of considerations, not least the economic climate, and perhaps, you know, trying to stretch their salary a little bit further and earning a little bit more, but also with the event of working from home and flexibility that we were forced into on the onset of COVID, that has now kind of become part of our norm, in terms of the norm is the flexibility that many companies are offering now. So people are looking for that employee value proposition. So it isn't now just about the gym membership or the salary or the holiday, you know, or perhaps the free nice latte coffees in the canteen, but it is that, you know, the staff or prospective staff are looking more at that package, what's being offered. So I think the training forms such a key part of that employee value proposition that businesses really should be looking at and should be focusing on, you know, more than ever before, to just retain, not only to create good staff, but then to retain those great staff. So again, I think the delivery of Searchlight is going to be key to helping our MGA members to enhance their EVP, employee value proposition.
Yeah, Julia, I'd wholeheartedly agree with that. I was in a conversation with one of our existing clients yesterday who said he's got an established team of probably 15 members, but with 5 new onboarding entrants. So he said it's now more of a key concept about what is the overall package in terms of learning and development that is now key.
Yeah.
So and that needs to be thought of as part of onboarding and recruitment and actually staff retention. So the importance of training, professionalism, competency is actually, as you say, now at the forefront, and probably has had an evolution in the light of flexible working in the pandemic.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you for that, Tracy. So with regard to the partnership with the MGAA and Searchlight, as you said, we're going to see you at our conference, so our members can come and visit you on the stand 92. Well remembered, Andy. That's on the 29th of June. I would say to delegates, if you haven't already registered, please do so, because you might know you're coming along, but we need to know too. So if you could let us know if you're coming along by registering for a delegate pass. I'm just going to hand over to delegates now. I just wanted to know if there are any questions. We haven't got any in the chat box at the moment, but if there's anybody who would like to ask a question, either drop the question into the chat box or please do feel free to unmute and reveal your camera if you wanted to ask a question directly. In terms of our communication plan to, more widely promote this partnership, my colleague Helen Ferris, our head of communications, will be working with Searchlight to discuss a communications plan. So this will involve, when we can reveal the training plan, when we can reveal the newsletter, which we've probably only just touched upon, but I understand the newsletter is going to include articles that can be utilised towards CPD. This might put you on the spot, so do forgive me and feel free to say that's a very good question. We'll come back to you on that. But with the CPD newsletter, have you given thought to perhaps whether the marrying up of accredited CPD for the ROI might be suitable to go in the newsletter as well? I'm not sure how that works, so as I say, do feel free to give me that's a good question. We'll come back.
We'll come back. I think it's got to be of a certain length of time for the learning. That's the thing in my head.
Right, there's certain criteria to be met.
Yeah, but it doesn't. You can still do CPD. So you can still record CPD at any time. Whether it's what goes in towards your 15 hours or whatever in the UK or ROI. Has to meet some criteria. There's nothing stopping you learning CPD and recording it as part of that, whether it's reading an article, reading in insurance press, anything like that.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, David, if I could just turn to you very briefly. We haven't got any questions, so we will be winding up very shortly. But, it's always good to hear that somebody is supporting a business when they've actually been in the shoes of. And I know that the Searchlight team have certainly been in the shoes of the insurance sector in one way or another. But being party to plum underwriting is always a great, I would say, testimonial, because Plum are indeed a managing general agent. But are there any particular courses, any particular learning that you've seen or that you've been involved in that is particularly topical at the moment that perhaps people should be thinking about?
Well, certainly when it comes down to areas like property, certainly at the moment, I would suggest that there's quite a lot of focus on non-standard construction and things like that. Okay, clearly, if you are, sort of, we're being a little bit more specific than direct with our marketing here. We are sort of targeting, genuine underwriters that actually assess the risk as opposed to are involved in the process of issuing cover. So, I think the opportunities to deliver that outside of this MGAA sphere, if you like, is are a little bit limited, because it's just beyond the risk appetite of insurers, effectively. That sort of area, certainly in the wake of things like Grenfell and things like that, is I'm sure that many MGAs and brokers, for that matter, who perhaps have delegated authority, they probably would benefit from that sort of area, building regulations and the like as well. So that would be my answer. That's what I say will be what I identify as a burning issue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. That's really helpful. Okay, so we don't have any questions, so I'm going to look to wind up now. But I really must say thank you to Tracy, Andy, Tom, and of course David for presenting today. I really am looking forward to working with you all going forward, and I'm really quite excited about this proposition because, you know, this is, as I said at the top of our meeting, this is really off of the back of the research that we've conducted with our members. So I think Mike coined this phrase, and I'm sure he won't appreciate me using this again, but at the time he used the phrase to our MGA members, your feedback is our future. So I think the feedback that we've listened to is that more training, more learning and development, chargeable is okay. And, you know, it's something that's very much now been produced in this format with the partnership. So look forward to working with you going forward. For those of you that joined us today, our delegates, thank you so much. I do appreciate it's a real pull out of your time. We're incredibly busy. If you do want to know any more, please feel free to contact either myself. If you have another contact at the MGAA, please contact whoever you have a direct relationship with. Alternatively, please feel free again to contact Tracy, Andy or Tom directly. If you have their contact details already, then do feel free to put any questions to them. Otherwise, again, thanks to Searchlight. Thank you for David for coming along. And thanks very much for our delegates for joining us. Thank you very much and have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.